I think one of the drivers for this kind of like multi-generational kind of evolution of the ecosystem, as you mentioned, is this concept of from Endeavor that's called the multiplier effect,
Hmm.
or essentially the network effect of having founders who succeed and pay it forward. As much as you guys invest through Endeavor Catalyst and all that, the foundation is really this community and network that you built through Endeavor. So maybe you could share as an investor, maybe elucidate a little bit on that whole concept from your view, and then how that structure pays back into the fund and into this whole mechanism of investing in founders and driving returns for the fund as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll unpack that. There's a couple of really good questions in there. Maybe the first key concept to introduce is this idea of the multiplier effect, which is something more and more we see as being a fundamental driver of change for ecosystems. And so, what we mean by that is step one is to try to help entrepreneurs build a very big company, right? Like that's Endeavor's core work. As you mentioned, we're much more than a fund. We're a community, we're a network. We're doing all these things to help support founders. Obviously, with Endeavor Catalyst, we have a fund, right? We invest in our own Endeavor companies, but so much of the work is around helping companies scale and build big, successful businesses, right? And that is, they'll create jobs, they'll create wealth and economic opportunity, and frankly, they'll create role models and sort of success stories where the next generation can say, I can do it, maybe I can do it too. But step two in this whole process that we've realized is actually just as important is then helping those successful founders have a platform for giving back and for paying it forward and for really helping the next generation, right? And so it's not sufficient to just build a big company, have an exit, sell the company, make a bunch of money, and move to the beach and buy a boat. That's not the game. The game is, okay, if you've been really successful, now what we want to help you do is train, mentor, coach, invest in the next generation of entrepreneurs. And if you think about it, that's actually what happens in Silicon Valley, right? The reason Silicon Valley is so successful is that one generation really helps the next generation. And so Endeavor's really started to embrace that, to lean into that. And we're studying it, we're mapping it, we're actually documenting it, we're creating these kind of bubble maps to show to people what this really looks like. And frankly, we're encouraging our own founders to do this, to encourage their employees to go off and start new companies, to coach, to mentor, to be angel investors, even in some cases, Hernan from Mercado Libre, to go on and start their own venture capital fund and become VCs.
Yeah, no, I think the other word for that I often hear is the creation of mafia, so to speak. But I guess the multiplier effect is more kosher that way.
Well, look, I'll tell you a funny story. We used to say mafia because Reid Hoffman, from the co-founder of LinkedIn, is on Endeavor's board, and he's part of the famous PayPal mafia that people talk about so much. But Reid doesn't like the term mafia. He's no, don't call it mafia. Like it's a network, it's a community, it's a multiplier effect. But we still actually used mafia for a long time. And then we opened Endeavor in Italy. And we realized we really couldn't be using this word in this way, right? And so we stopped using mafia.